Giant fans that have supported us for more than 30 years at Giant Stadium, for all those years in Yankee Stadium, and some of you even back to the Polo Grounds. This is for you. This is for you.
Listen to me. Okay? The rest of your life, man, nobody can ever tell you that you couldn't do it, because you did.
With the second pick in the 2018 NFL Draft, the New York Giants select Saquon Barkley, running back, Penn State.
And hello again, everybody, and welcome to another edition of The Giants Guys. This is John Fennelly, your host, and my co-host again today is Mr. Craig Santucci of NY Giants Rush. Craig, it's Dallas week. How you feeling about that?
I'm trying to ramp up my hater skills, you know, like I've just gotten a little sidetracked with all the buzz about our new addition to the defense, so it's taken my eye off hating the Cowboys.
Yeah, and what you really have to brace for, and we'll get to it, is all the Cowboys fans that are going to be sitting around you for this game in the stadium.
See, here's the thing, and I mean this like sincerely. You really have no idea how disturbing it is, because it was never like that in the 80s. It was never like that in the 90s. It started in the early 2000s, definitely after, September 11th. So maybe somewhere around, I want to say around 2004, 2006, somewhere in there. It just started to become, maybe with the rise of fantasy or whatever, it's just become an entertainment portal. Right. And people just go to the games to tailgate and hang out. Well, But the diehard fans from other towns are scooping up tickets in droves.
Right, the ticket exchange, StubHub.
I mean, it's really, honestly, and it's bad when the Giants lose. And the Giants have been losing more than they've been winning for the last 7 years. To sit in a stadium with 10,000 Cowboy fans or 10,000 Eagles fans. I mean, just a couple weeks ago, there were like 4,000 Viking fans. Yeah. It's really, really hard, and I've gotten people like, oh, well, the prices are too high and this and that. Look, the prices are high in every stadium in the country. You're living in New York. You got to expect it, but people got to represent. I mean, like,
especially against Dallas. If you said this is what happens, they get their block of 8 tickets plus the preseason, and they take 4 games and they put them in the drawer, and then they take the other 4 games and they put them on StubHub.
Yep.
Right? So they make their money back, and they're actually going for free.
And then you throw in the fact that it's a Monday night and guys got to go to work the next day.
Right, but you should keep Dallas. You should keep Philly. You give away the Arizona game. You give away, a game against Buffalo.
Yep.
Don't give away the games against the Cowboys and the Eagles and the Redskins. But that's what they're doing, because they're worth more.
And these Dallas fans, I hate to say it, I'm not here to give them any compliments, but Dallas and Eagles travel really well.
Well, it's easy for the Eagles, but the Cowboys have fans all over the country too. People that I know, guys I grew up with. Growing up in New York, okay, the Giants played at Yankee Stadium when I was a kid. They started in 56. They played there till 73. So I started following the Giants when I was 7 years old, 1967, okay? That's when I went to my first game. Yankee Stadium was 82,000 people. Now, you had to sell 75% of those seats, okay, to get to lift the blackout rule so you could be seen on local TV. Now, there's no way they came close. That means you still have to sell 60,000 seats for a 1-12 team in the Bronx, the South Bronx, in the 60s and 70s.
And remember, it's a little bit before me, but I am very aware and keenly aware that the two teams that were on TV every single week were the Steelers and the Cowboys.
Well, before that, CBS had the NFC, and NBC had the AFC. So the NFC was in the 60s and 70s. It was Green Bay, Dallas, Minnesota, right, and the Rams. Those were your 4 teams. They were on every week. The AFC, you had Pittsburgh, Oakland, right, Miami, and of course you had the Jets, but Kansas City was a team back then. But it was basically Miami, Oakland, and Pittsburgh. Those were your 3 biggies. So that's why I have a lot of guys my age, they didn't see Giant games. You know, we went to some of the games every year with my father. You know, he took us as friends that we went. These guys didn't. They went to either Jet games because we lived in Flushing, and you know, people from Long Island and Queens became Jet fans because we could walk there. And when it came home on TV, that's who you had on. Dallas, Minnesota, a lot of Minnesota fans. A lot of my friends are Minnesota fans.
What I don't get is, like, you know, there's plenty of passionate Giant fans on Twitter and on Facebook and wherever they're at. I just can't see 10,000 Giants fans selling their tickets to a Cowboy game. Like everyone, I don't know, maybe it's just the way the world works now. Everybody's out for themselves, but
that's exactly what it is.
Because I got to tell you, it is really hard. Because I don't know, I'm not a guy that wears a lot. Like, I don't own a Giants jersey. I get made fun of by the guy that sits behind me that I wear a Yankees hat to the game. And he's like, don't you own any Giants gear? I'm like, nah, I've always took the principle of not owning stuff because someone always wants to kick your ass.
I have Giants hats and Giants sweatshirts. I don't have a Giant jersey.
Yep, I'm fine with a fitted cap or whatever, but I don't go to other stadiums and wear the gear. And I don't know, sitting there watching 10,000 fans say how great Dak Prescott is mind-numbing. It's mind-numbing.
It's like having 10,000 Skip Baylesses in the crowd.
Yeah. But here's the thing is I'm a pretty realistic, passionate fan. If the Patriots come to town and kick our ass, what can I say, right?
Right.
But I can't stomach the fact that I'm going to have to listen to, 5,000 people tell me how great Dak Prescott is when he's not great. And it's obnoxious to even, have to sit through it on a Monday night at midnight. So, yeah, it's going to be a rough Monday unless these boys come out and just decide to punch someone in the mouth.
And we saw the Jets do that a couple of weeks ago to Dallas. And, of course, it was a shock to everyone. I mean, the Jets have nothing, and they came out and beat Dallas. So
they have even less now.
Right. They have even less now. And Sam Darnold is seeing ghosts. It's Halloween, so today's the day. If you're seeing ghosts today, there's a reason for it. But the thing is now Dallas beat Philadelphia, who isn't playing well at all, even though Philadelphia just beat Buffalo, so I don't know. They might be, picking their game up. But Philadelphia and Dallas haven't been playing that well. And what's irking a lot of Giant fans right now is they could have won 2 more games this year. They'd have a decent record. They'd be 4-4. They'd be right in it.
It's the same argument I have on a weekly basis on Twitter, which basically revolves around, guys who play and guys who finish. We've forgotten about the players who finish. I'm constantly getting this, let it play out. Let it play out. Listen, I'll let it play out, okay? But you might either be too young or you've forgotten, because it's been a long time, about real playmakers. Real playmakers go out, beat their man, and literally change the game or the play that's happening in front of them.
Correct.
That's a Michael Strahan, a Lawrence Taylor, a Carl Banks, a Jim Burt, a Rodney Hampton, a Tiki Barber, a Jeremy Shockey. These guys went out and just made plays. Sitting around and waiting for a guy to make a play is asinine. Like, it's either this guy can change the game or he can't. And the Giants can't be 4-4 because they don't have any game changers. They have guys that play. They try to make plays, but they can't change the game. You know, people forget about Lawrence Taylor, and I'm not going to drone on about LT. But, like, when the crowd got fired up and they were chanting LT, he literally made a play because the defense needed him to make a stop. And he literally took the game into his own hands and made a play. Strahan was very similar. We don't have one player on this team that can take over a game.
Right.
I'm hoping that somewhere, you know, some of these guys step outside themselves and become that guy. Maybe it's Lawrence. You know, I don't know where he'll come from, but you mentioned being 4-4. You know, you can't be 4-4 unless you got playmakers.
Yeah, I agree. And I had my microphone off, and I forgot what I was going to say. Let's talk about what happened this week. They brought in a potential playmaker in Leonard Williams from the Jets. Very controversial move, as aren't they all these days with Dave Gettleman. And I wrote an article in USA Today about Dave Gettleman being missing. You know, he's making a lot of moves, doing a lot of behind-the-scenes thing, and he hasn't come out to address the media at all. He hasn't said anything in public, you know, what his justification is, what his mindset is, making some of these moves.
I'm okay with that.
And I think there's a couple of reasons I wrote. There's a couple of reasons. One is the Francesa thing where they had a feud. He just doesn't have the energy to deal with it. And two, we don't really know how his health is. You know, he did have lymphoma 12 months ago. And, you know, went into remission and he seemed to be getting better. Maybe he's not feeling well.
Possibly, or... You know, maybe he finds he's more efficient when he's not doing stand-up comedy.
But that's not his M.O. He needs to be in front of the cameras. So this is why it's all so strange. You know him. He likes to be the center of attention. He likes to entertain.
He does. It drives me crazy, but yes, he does.
You know, so he's been, the last time he spoke, and I have it documented here, July 26th.
Okay,
that's the first or second day of training camp. So that's the last time he spoke. So we can only learn from him for what Pat Shermer tells us, and he doesn't tell us much.
I don't think Pat knows anything. He's having trouble doing his own job.
Right, but he talks to Gettleman every day, he says. And he says he has a lot of input on player transactions, personnel. And I don't know if he does or not. We don't really know if that's correct. I think Gettleman says, this is what I want to do. And he'll say to Shermer, what do you think? And Shermer will say, I can make it work. Because, you know, I don't feel like getting fired after this season.
Yeah, exactly.
Which I was on a radio station in Syracuse the other day. They asked me if Shermer was going to get fired. I said, no. He's going to be here for another year. Because I'll tell you why. Because he gets a pass for this year because it's a rookie quarterback, right? And then next year the clock starts ticking. And there's a very interesting tweet today that Dan Benton sent me from Field Yates, and it was that the Giants. Where the heck is it? I'm going to get it for you. Here we go.
I'm all ears. I'm listening.
It is teams. It's from Field Yates, who is with NFL Network or ESPN.
Yates.
He's with ESPN.
Yeah, I was just saying, he's the ESPN guy.
The young guy, yeah. So he's teams with the most snaps played by rookies this season. Are you ready? Number 1, Giants, 2,907. And the next team is the Jaguars, 2,418, 500 less. So the Giants have all rookies, or a lot of rookies, out there in bounds, making, supposed to be making plays. That's one of the reasons why they're 2-6. You can't have all those rookies playing like that. think about the lineups that you have. Most of them are on defense, right?
Agreed.
So it's tough when you have a lot of rookies playing. You know, they're still getting their sea legs. They're still learning about the NFL. You know, you really have to. Every once in a while, you'll have a guy who plays well. But, you know, if you're asking 7 or 8 rookies to all play well, you know, you're asking a lot. George Allen would never permit that, if you remember George Allen. George Allen, when he was with the Rams and the Redskins as the head coach, he'd trade all his draft picks for veterans, and he'd just have an all-veteran team. That's why he had the over-the-hill gang that time with the Redskins. They were all old guys. You know, he just didn't have any faith in rookies. He didn't want any rookie mistakes. And now here you go in the NFL, you have more rookies than not. And the Giants are leading the charge there. And they're paying the price. They're paying the price because Jerry Reese's drafts weren't deep enough for some of these guys to get second contracts. True?
Yeah, they let a lot of those guys walk.
And they let some of them walk. Devin Kennard was one, you know, of course.
Yeah, Linval Joseph.
Right. Some of the guys are still pretty good. You know, Justin Pugh and Weston Richburg are both starters in this league. And so is Bobby Hart.
Yeah, I don't know.
And Eric Flowers, too. So, you know, the league is kind of watered down when you see those guys as starters. But that's one of the reasons why they have to play so many rookies. They just don't have the depth. They don't have the depth, and you can't sign. You're not gonna find guys on the waiver wire. You're not gonna find that many guys, undrafted free agents, that are gonna walk in and play. So, you know, you really have to do it through the draft, and the Giants hadn't done it through the draft. And that's one of the reasons why they have so many rookies out on the field. And they just better hope that Gettleman knows what he's doing. And although I think his rookies, or some of the guys he's drafted, are pretty good.
You know, for
some of them not so good, but some of them are pretty good.
Yeah, but here's the thing. You know, if we're just talking about comparing the last GM to the new GM, you know, you're talking about, you know, years of failed draft picks from Reese. I mean, you really kind of get paid for that round 3, 4, and 5 guy. That's where you're making your money, right?
Correct.
The first 2 guys, you should kind of be able to hit on those guys.
And Reese did hit on many of them. I mean, a lot of his first round picks were stars.
Yeah, but again, that's right. That's the easy part of the job.
Right.
But rounds 3, 4, 5 were disasters. I mean, at least, if you're looking to hang your hat on anything, Gettleman's drafts right now are just superior.
Very good.
He's getting contributions from all the way down the line right down to the 7th pick.
Yeah.
So that's definitely not the complaint. The complaint would be is, you know, some of the other things that are going on with the team. And specifically, you know, we started this conversation about this week and the move that was made to trade for Leonard Williams, you know, defensive tackle / defensive end Leonard Williams. And was it a good pick? I mean, a good trade? And are the Giants going to, you know, suffer if they don't re-sign him? And, you know, and so on. So, you know, love to get your take on it.
Yeah, I mean, if you trade for this guy and he walks, that's going to be egg on your face. You really have to sign him now. You're pretty much forced to sign this guy before he reaches free agency. But you know that's not going to happen. Because if you're an NFL player and you see free agency for the first time, you know, if you have a good agent, you'll get out there. You'll put yourself out there. But if your agent says, you know what, the Giants are going to offer you money, you could be out in free agency for 2 months and get a lesser contract. You know, you have a team that's already interested in you. Just take what they're, you know, maybe we'll negotiate with them. You know, that they offer X, we'll come out with Y, and we'll be somewhere in the middle. So it's a gamble.
It is a curious move.
And it all depends on how well he plays in these 8 games.
It's a curious move to me because, for one, I don't know, seems like players always go to free agency. And the Giants draft what they give up for in the draft depends on if they sign him. If it's a 5th round pick, right? If they sign him before free agency, and then the pick changes if they don't sign him before free agency. So they got to be motivated to sign him before free agency. But if you're him, why wouldn't you hit free agency? You've never done it before.
Right.
Why not be out there to see what your worth is? So it's a little bit of a head scratcher.
But there's some players who were advised not to do that because they may not get what they believe is their worth.
Agreed.
So they'll take the guaranteed contract from the suitor that they know rather than test the waters and get less from somebody else in a situation that they may not like. You know, you can't. You know, if you're a player like Leonard Williams and you went into free agency right now, I mean, what teams you can't pick what teams are going to make you offers. You know, right now he doesn't have to move his family. He doesn't have to do anything. Just change colors.
Yeah, walk down the hallway,
and that's it. And, you know, he's on a team that obviously wants him. They paid a lot. They paid a heavy price to get him. So I'm thinking that they're going to try to sign him before the end of the year to an extension. The 5th round pick goes to a 4th round pick at that point when they do that. But still, you know, if you let him hit free agency, you could lose him. You know, somebody could come in, you know, a California team. He's from USC. Somebody out there could come in, the Chargers or somebody, and then you're done. You lost them.
Yeah, Raiders. Yep.
Right, Rams. Somebody.
I mean, I think I'm on the fence because I don't understand how players fall off so much. I mean, his tackles have gone down every year. His sacks have gone down every year. His expertise is hits on the quarterback, right? I mean, I love a guy who can finish, right? I mean,
and he's got decent stats when it comes to that.
Yeah, well, that's where I was going. In 2015, he's got 21 QB hits. In 16, 19. In 17, 25. In 2018, 20. And then his whole 2019 season has literally fallen into the abyss. And I'm wondering, either is he that unhappy? Are the Jets not using him right?
I think it's the Jets. There's a lot of chaos there. If you're paying attention to what happened with the Jets this year, you know, Adam Gase was hired as the coach. Then he was the coach GM, and then he hired his friend as GM, and they both individually report to the owner. So there's kind of like no structure. And you know, Greg Williams is in there as defensive coordinator. And I don't know how he's been using Williams, Leonard Williams, that is. But you know, still he hasn't produced like he should have. We know that he's underproducing. But you know, in a new scenario, you know, he could pop back to life.
Yeah, I hope so, because it would be hard to have this guy come in and just take up space for 8 weeks. I mean, he's got all the
with his eye on free agency.
Correct.
Yeah, saying, you know, he'll be here a month. Say, wow, this team stinks. I don't want to be here. And you know, personally, I would think they'd be more successful if they went back to a 4-3 defense.
Oh, I believe that wholeheartedly. We don't have linebackers for a 3-4.
No, you don't have enough linebackers, and one guy you're going to be playing a lot is Deion Buchanan, and you know he's going to be in the box, and you know he's a good tracker of the football, like Landon Collins was. People are saying, well, you know, Landon Collins, I even said it too. Landon Collins, we can't afford $80 million was too much, which is true. But if you're going to let the guy go, you need a tackler in that box. And they didn't get one.
No. And we already know that the key to keeping Landon Collins was to sign him in a year prior, you know, to go get the hometown discount. And sign him like
they didn't do that.
No, they didn't. I mean, he broke his forearm that year.
Doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter. That's the year they should have signed him. They would have got him long term. They would have got him for less money needed. But that's here nor there. That's
what about what we talked about with him? He should have been a linebacker to begin with.
Well, at least in that money backer spot. Yeah.
Right. He shouldn't be playing out in space. He shouldn't go 20 yards past the line of scrimmage. That's not what he does. Yeah. He's a tracker of the football. To me, he's one of the top 5 tacklers in football.
Yeah, he does have a nose for the football.
That's his job. He follows the ball and he takes the guy down. Now, when they played Arizona 2 weeks ago, Chase Edmonds would have had no touchdowns. He would have got him every time.
Yeah.
Because that's what he does. Of course, the tight end would have been wide open, but he would have got that guy with the ball.
Yep, and I'm hoping that Williams finds that that kind of fountain of youth, maybe like whether it's coaching style or Betcher or whatever it is, because he's got all the ability, the height, the size, the speed. I don't like the interview he gave about I would have had a sack if it wasn't a penalty. I would have had a sack if it wasn't grounding. I wasn't really I don't want to hear any excuses. You know what I mean? Just tell me that you're excited about being a Giant and you could do better and you're going to bring a disruptive force to the Giants. That would get me excited. I don't want to hear I didn't get a sack because of grounding and I didn't get a sack because of a penalty. I mean, he literally he's on pace for 40 tackles. His highest tackles was 63. He's on pace for his lowest sacks. He's got 0. His highest was 7. His tackles for a loss highest was 11, and his highest QB hits were 25. He's got 5. He's very far off, from being what he was. So all I want to hear is that he's going to go out and kick ass, not why he's not doing well. So, I just want these guys to just knock the excuse off and just go get it done. Somebody be a finisher.
Right. That's right. I hope that's what he's here for. But the other thing is he here because B.J. Hill isn't doing it?
That's a great question because I'm
or is he here to play defensive end on the other side and have a nice 4-man front? Even though B.J. Hill was somehow named to Pro Football Focus's Players of the Week last week, he had 1 tackle.
Are you sure it was B.J. Hill?
Yeah.
Okay.
B.J. Hill. B.J. Hill on the season has no sacks. He has no quarterback hits, and he has no tackles for a loss in 8 games.
Yep.
So something's up. And when they interviewed Gary Emanuel last week, the defensive line coach, he kind of didn't really want to talk about B.J. Hill. And when he did, it was like, well, he's like, well, he's not really doing it. Pretty much coded language that, he's not having a good year. We know that. So are they bringing Leonard Williams in to take him out, or are they going to go with Hill on one side, Williams on the other, Tomlinson and Lawrence in the middle? Because that's what they need to do. They need to get more big bodies up front. They don't have enough big guys on defense.
So you kind of read my mind once again, like you do. That's why we're the Giants guys, right? You read my mind.
Yeah, simpatico.
Yeah, exactly. But I went a different route. Okay, you're right. B.J. Hill's not having a great year, but I'm wondering if maybe then B.J. Hill's either not being used right, maybe he's out of position. Because here's the thing, I'm thinking that it's Tomlinson that's the issue because he had a great game last week and they were all of a sudden out of nowhere he had 8 tackles or something crazy, right? All of a sudden he came to play. Tomlinson's in a contract year, right? Because next year is his last year. Remember, he got here before B.J. Hill. We already know B.J. Hill can play because he had a great year last year. I think Williams comes in. They don't bring back Tomlinson because Tomlinson wasn't really great to begin with. Then they trade Snacks and they put Tomlinson in there when he fails miserably. Then they got Dexter Lawrence in there, so they move Lawrence back to his spot. And outside of last week, he's been non-existent. Both of them, Hill and Tomlinson. So my thought is that they may be saying, okay, this is my answer for Tomlinson, and let's get B.J. Hill moving again because whatever we did – because remember, B.J. Hill was doing great when Snacks was there, and B.J. Hill was great when Tomlinson slid inside.
Right.
Right? Because Tomlinson took over for Snacks, right? And who was the more productive guy was Hill. But now that Tomlinson slid back outside, all of a sudden B.J. Hill can't play. So I'm thinking this might be a Tomlinson move that, A, we're not re-signing this guy. Now we're going to put Williams in there, and we're going to let Hill, Lawrence, and Williams go.
Yeah, and they still have R.J. McIntosh, who they like. He gets to play. He doesn't get to play as much, but maybe he should. We want to see a little bit more of him. But like I said, the 3-4 isn't working, and you hit the nail on the head. They don't have the linebackers for it. They don't have enough big bodies up front. Okay, that's why they're not generating any pass rush. That's why they're not stopping the run when they need to. This is why, and the back seven, the secondary, is left out there, hung out to dry.
And if you watch the game or all 22, I mean, you can see that Carter and Yosemite are they're standing, and they got their hand in the dirt. There was a couple plays this past week where they had 7 defensive backs on the field. 7.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, so to ask Yosemite Yemenis and Carter to play linebacker or DN is not asking too much. They can do both.
Yes. Oh no. There's no question about that.
So switching to a 4-3 to me would be ideal to get the most out of the players that we have.
Or maybe get 5 guys up there. They used to do the NASCAR with 5 guys.
Yeah. The NASCAR
why aren't
was
they
great.
doing stuff like that? I mean, they really have to start putting pressure on offenses.
Hello? I mean, it still comes back to Betcher. I mean, the guy who had one of the top defenses in the league in Arizona from a blitzing standpoint has literally disappeared. I mean, we don't run any stunts. We don't run any blitzes. There's no corner, no safety blitzes, barely any pressure. And on top of the fact, let's talk for a second about we were talking about Lawrence, but listen, that Detroit game, Amendola had 8 catches. Haley is literally getting ruined nonstop. And on the sideline, we've got Julian Love who can't get a uniform on. I mean, it makes no sense. And I'm not trying to be all Mr. Negative, but listen, if you're a Giants fan right now, you've got to be asking yourself, when are we going to make some changes to the personnel? I mean, Haley had a sack because they finally blitzed him and he made a nice play. But he has been abused relentlessly. I mean, relentlessly.
Well, he's a slot corner, and there's a lot of good slot receivers in this league. A veteran slot receiver is going to eat him up. Amendola, Edelman, those guys are going to eat him alive.
I mean, Amendola had 8 catches on him. So, you got to
Who's he got this week? Reggie Cobb.
Oh, my goodness. So, I for the life of me, it just feels like Julian Love just must have done something wrong in camp because he can't get on the field. We don't even know if he can play. I mean, I'm assuming the coaches know he can't play because you're basically saying that even though Haley's getting absolutely toasted, play to play, game to game, Julian Love is not that good. That's what you're saying.
That's what they're saying.
It makes no sense.
Now, he came in as a corner, and then they said, okay, he's going to be a slot corner. And then they started using him at safety, and now he's on the bench. So, I don't really know what the issue is, except for they feel Haley's a better option right now. Sean Chandler is a better option at safety.
These guys are getting destroyed.
Michael Thomas.
Yep. Anything that's in the middle, for all the years and, people that are yelling about Landon Collins, nothing's changed. The middle of the field is wide open for tight ends and slot receivers all day.
Yes. And that's why I was kind of puzzled that, the Lions have they have Amendola, but they also have a rookie tight end from Iowa, T.J. Hawkinson. I'm like, what are they running the football for? Stafford could complete every single pass if he threw it over the middle because there's nobody there. Yep. There's literally not a defender there.
And Hawkinson's a flat-out stud.
Yeah, I mean, why weren't they using him? So, their offensive coordinator, Darrell Bevel, who used to be with the Seahawks and other teams before that, he likes to run the ball. I'm like, who cares? Throw the ball.
Yeah, you don't
Last
have
week
Marshawn Lynch.
in fantasy on DraftKings and FanDuel, I had Stafford, I had Marvin Jones, and I had Galladay because I knew. I didn't have Amendola. I should have had him too. I knew they threw the ball, they were going to be successful. And they were. And the Giants still could have won the game. You know, if Jones doesn't fumble that ball, they win the game. That's the difference in the game right there.
So I did want to change gears on you for a second, unless you still want to go defensive-wise.
No, talk about whatever you want because this is a mishmash of a season, so we can only put together a mishmash of a show.
All right, no problem. Well, I'm just kind of moving from the defense, not having linebackers, and watching our backups get torched. On the offensive side, it's interesting because, and I'll kind of throw this to you. And maybe he's not 100% healthy, but I kind of just feel like Barkley needs more touches. Mm-hmm. And I don't know if that's me, so I'm going to throw it to you. Yeah. My perspective is that I don't see Barkley getting enough touches. What's your thought?
Well, if he's not getting the touches, Goldman should be getting them. Okay, because he's healthy too. The running backs aren't getting enough touches. That's the issue. They're not running the ball enough. Okay, you have a rookie quarterback. Okay, you need to generate some stability to the offense. If Barkley isn't ready to take on the full load that he's normally used to, get Goldman in there and give him some touches. All right, but you have to run the ball a little bit more. Right now they're throwing it too much, and they're putting the ball in jeopardy. I mean, he's fumbling, he's losing the ball, throwing interceptions. He had no interceptions last week, Jones, that counted. Now, if you recall, there was an interception, but it was called back for a penalty.
I remember.
So, he's throwing the ball into precarious situations. What they should do with him is rein him in a little bit, run the ball a little bit more. Unfortunately, they're behind on the scoreboard. And it's hard to run the football when you're behind on the scoreboard all the time. But they need to do that. I think it would help. I think it would help him. It would help play action. I think that Barkley and Goldman can both get yards. I still think they should swap out Jalapeno for Pulley at center. I don't know what they're waiting for. I think they should go two tight ends a lot and run the ball, force the issue.
I wasn't going to even comment on the two tight ends thing, but it's a definitely a pain point because, whether Solder's having a good year or not, it doesn't make any sense. Every coach I can remember in history, all the way back to Bavaro, about putting a tight end in when your left tackle's struggling, you put a tight end in. Maybe it's to help block, or maybe it's just a chip or a rub, but it's almost mind-numbing that the Giants as a whole continue to do the same thing week in and week out, and I question what's really going on because there's really no in-game adjustments, there's no personnel changes, and we're continuing to make the same mistakes. If Solder's struggling, put Ellison on his side and let him chip or rub and throw the ball to him.
Right.
Or just these things that the average fan knows, or the diehard fan obsesses over.
And every other defensive coordinator in the league is saying, okay, we know what they're going to do.
Yeah, and that's kind of where I was going is that so let's break it down for a second, right? Jones was definitely a bright spot. He goes 28 for 41 for 322 yards, 4 touchdowns, right?
Right.
So here's the thing. He's 7 out of 12 on third downs. Best day he's had yet. But does your rookie quarterback need to throw 41 times?
No.
Absolutely not.
No.
I mean, I'm sorry, people. Your rookie quarterback does not need to throw 41 times. It's almost like they're forgetting that he's not wearing number 10. And they're like, well, we're playing from behind, so let's just, run and gun. No. If you're rebuilding, you give them confidence and let them learn the game when you've got the best back in the league. And by the way, the second string back's not so bad either. So I'm constantly puzzled by what Shermer and Shula do. They make me grind my teeth at night because I'm like, just like, stop being so stupid or stubborn. I mean, listen, right now.
But
go ahead.
Keep going, because I'm going to tell you something, and you're going to be like, you're going to have a conniption.
Okay, because I'm saying that, like, right now, my bigger issue is you're throwing the ball so much, and you're putting the ball in Jones's hands so much. He's getting labeled a fumbler. Okay, when the defense knows your quarterback is a fumbler, they really start pinning their ears back and going after you. If you're known as a guy who's going to put the ball on the turf, the defensive coordinators, the good ones, will literally stunt you and blitz you to death. And that's going to put way more pressure on Daniel Jones that's necessary. You don't want your rookie quarterback to be known as a fumbler. And Shermer and Shula are doing nothing but putting this kid in the fire. Just let Barkley and Gallman carry the load.
Okay. Last week in Detroit, in the second half, on first down, they ran the football 5 straight times on first downs and got no yardage, a net 0 yards. And that includes one run by Jones. I don't think they called the run. I think he just ended up running. But they got no yards. Barkley got 1 yard, minus 1 yard. 2 yards, minus 2 yards. So they're running the ball on first down, but they're ill-conceived runs. They're telegraphed runs that they're not blocking.
Yeah, it's called predictable.
Yeah, so, Detroit's sitting there saying, okay, we know they're going to run. They flood to the ball. Nothing. Okay, so, how about running off tackle? How about running off left tackle instead of right tackle all the time?
Yep.
They don't run to the left side. How about faking to one guy, flipping to another? You can do that. You're allowed to do that.
I mean, it's Saquon Barkley. Maybe he's not 100% healthy.
He
does look.
I don't think he is.
I agree with that.
Some plays he looks like himself, and then other plays he just kind of like fizzles out. So he's not quite back yet.
And I also, by the way, I don't want Barkley to become Matt Forte. I mean, Jones and Tate each had 10 targets and 8 completions. Like, that's great, but just put the ball in Barkley's hand and blow open a hole and let him go. Then when the defense starts playing down tight, then throw it to him. Like,
right.
That's what I'm saying. It's mind-numbing that they can't figure this out.
I think once the game starts, they kind of lose their place.
Yes, I agree wholeheartedly. I mean, like,
a lot like us when we're doing a podcast. We just start talking about anything.
Yeah, but at least we're bringing up points that
true.
they can't figure out, and they get paid millions to do it. I mean, let's just call a spade a spade. Evan Ingram should be a top 5 tight end in the NFL. Like, throw the cat the ball and then go old school and say, if you can't stop it, I'll keep running it. Nah, they like to cross that play off and throw it out.
Right. But the first down runs up the middle, you're killing me. It's not there. It's not there. It's not there against any defense. Because, that's the MO. Everyone knows what it is. They're lined up. They're going to run the ball. Boom. And when they throw on first down, what does he get? Completion.
Yeah.
Completion.
So Dallas coming up on Monday. What's the way to beat Dallas? That's probably what a lot of people want to know.
Put all your defensive players in the middle of the field.
Okay.
I would just have one guy playing center field the whole game because that's how they score. They score down the middle. All right? Elliott never really hurt them, ever, in a game. If you look at his statistics, he's kind of flat. Doesn't really do much. Okay? Who kills them? Blake Jarwin. Jason Witten. Michael Gallup. Guys that isolate one-on-one when they fill in the gaps in the middle of the field. And Prescott, they don't really harass him that much. He just waits for somebody to break open and boom, throws it right down the middle. So easy. It's so easy. Why Stafford didn't do it last week, I would have won a lot more money if he did that. And I know Giant fans say, it's a sacrilege. No. If I have to sit here and watch this, I'm going to make some money. Serious.
Good for you.
My father used to say the same thing. I know they're not going to win today. I bet the other team. I said, what? We'd go to the game. I said, what'd you bet the other team for? He says, hey, you want to eat this week? I said, okay. Good point.
Yeah.
Says, you want to put gas in your car? Yeah, okay. Bet the other team. And, we'd make some money. But, of course we wanted to see them win.
I agree with that wholeheartedly.
Yeah, but if you're not going to try, neither am I. That was the point in a lot of the old Giant fans. You're not going to try. They're not going to try. Neither were we.
And that's why you got a stadium full of Cowboy fans.
That's correct. And with this coach, and here's the thing I talked about. I hate talking about it, but I got to talk about it. The culture's changed, but the culture is a losing culture. You didn't bring in a winning culture. Who'd you bring in? It's a winner. Anybody? Golden Tate has one Super Bowl ring. But that was a long time ago.
And he also got suspended for steroids, so you can throw that out.
Yeah, he's been on 4 teams already. There's a reason for that, too. He wears out his welcome. That's what it seems like to me. And, who'd they bring in? It's a winner. Lawrence is a winner. Played at Clemson. So is Gallman. He played at Clemson. Tomlinson played at Alabama. He might be a winner, but that's on the college level. Who in the pros is a winner? Who on that coaching staff is a winner?
I think Tomlinson was a Jerry Reese guy anyway.
Yes, he was. He's an Alabama guy. He's a Nick Saban guy. So he understands what winning is.
Well, yeah, Dexter. If you're going college, Dexter Lawrence.
Who on that coaching staff has been on a float down Broadway or down Main Street?
Coaching staff. Don't even get me started. No, listen.
Okay.
Give me a young, aggressive offensive coordinator, and he makes everybody look good. You got to have someone with some ingenuity to make the head coach look good. You got to have someone. Listen, what are the best head coaches in the league? They were coordinators at one time, right? Everyone's like Shermer's offense. Shermer's offense. Look, the kid from Minnesota that they wanted, Stefanski, right? I think it is.
Yes.
They wanted him so bad. I mean, listen, the kid was a baller at UPenn. Bright kid, Ivy League football player, right? His dad played and coached in the NBA. This guy had a pedigree that's
if you want to talk about pedigrees, Mike Schuler's got the best pedigree.
But I'm saying, but
you give me the Ted Williams analogy. When they tried to save Ted Williams' DNA, then they said to the son, "Don't you have it?"
Yeah, right.
You can't hit.
Well,
what good is it?
Well, I was going to say that the player, like when when you play and you understand. I mean, like Shula's been a losing coach everywhere he goes, and maybe he doesn't get it. Maybe he didn't play enough ball. I don't know what it is. Maybe he's old school. Who knows? But I will tell you that like the Stefanski kid, like he's got Minnesota humming. The Vikings blocked him so he couldn't, so he couldn't come with Shermer. But it's obvious that like Shermer needs a dynamic right-hand man, and a lot of head coaches do. Whether it's Sean Payton or whether it's Andy Reid. These guys all have really smart, young. Belichick had all those guys for years with Patricia and McDaniels. You need a sharp, really football savvy offensive coordinator. We can hang a hat on Shermer. It's Shermer's offense. Mm-hmm. It's still implemented. The film is broken down all by someone who's going to decipher it and hand a card to him and say, look, this is what's going to give us the best chance to win. And Shula cannot do that. He's proven it now for a year and a half.
Yeah. I don't disagree with any of that. But, there are head coaches in this league that call their own plays, and Shermer is one of them. But the issue is they know how to be a head coach and call their own plays. He doesn't know how to be a head coach and call his own plays. That's the difference between him. Just like this Freddie Kitchens. He's not a head coach. That's why they're having so much difficulty in Cleveland. You need a head coach, and then once he's got that down, then you can call your own plays. You could be Mike McCarthy. You could be Andy Reid. Right?
Yeah.
You can't do that until you get job number 1 solved. The job you were hired to do. And the guys who come in and say they've never been a head coach, well, Shermer has, but for a game. And then with Cleveland, that doesn't count either as far as I'm concerned. I'm going to call my own plays. No. I want you to come in and settle into this job. Then you could call your own plays. That's what you need to do. You're not experienced enough to handle both, wear both hats.
Well, I'll even go, maybe it's a personality thing. Shermer didn't want Shula. Stefanski got the no. And
right, he was a Gettleman guy.
And Gettleman forced Shula on him. Because this year, if Shermer stays, okay, which we're both agreeing he stays.
Yes.
I think Shula and Betcher got to go.
If things don't get better.
How are they going to get better?
In the second half of this season, what if the defense starts to pick up?
Oh, okay.
What if Jabril Peppers realizes that, if a guy's crossing in front of me, I got to take him. I can't just let him run past me.
Maybe. All right.
It's communication on defense. We were talking about it in the radio show in Syracuse the other day. What's wrong with Jabril Peppers? I said, well, he's a great athlete. The problem is that he needs guidance. He needs to, when a guy's coming at him, you take him, I'll take him.
Yeah, he's out of
instead of just standing there and let both guys run past him.
Yeah, he's out of position a lot, yeah.
Well, they're all out of position because they don't communicate. Baker doesn't communicate either. They're all looking at each other like who's got who. And, it's a little late because we're 30 yards downfield already.
Yeah.
Should have solved that in the first 5 yards.
Well, I'm hoping on Monday they come out, which, again, they normally do not. But I'm hoping they come out on Monday and just punch Dallas in the mouth. I mean, go for it. None of this 41 passes by Jones.
Who are they going to punch with? What are they going to punch with?
I think they give him a big dose of Barkley.
Okay.
I mean, listen, for anybody who doesn't know anything about the Cowboys, they got the two best linebackers in football. I mean, these guys can cover on top of it. I mean, you're gonna have to be creative to beat these guys, because if you're just gonna, like you just said, run only off right tackle, they're
gonna be waiting for you.
Yeah, you're gonna have to somehow find a mismatch.
How about some misdirection plays? Never see a misdirection play.
Or do what everyone does to the Giants: roll out the tight end, hit him in the flat, or put the tight end across the middle. You're gonna have to beat. Literally, it's like the Giants versus those two linebackers because they're that good. So you better come up with a play to beat those two linebackers.
Yeah, Van Der Esch and Jalen Smith. Those are the two guys you're talking about, I assume.
You would be right.
Okay. And DeMarcus Lawrence, he's going to be going up against, I'm assuming, Remmers in this game. If it's lined up correctly, yeah, I think he goes that way.
And then I remember all those Coughlin years when they had when they went against defensive ends. They would start off the game running right at them.
Yep, that's how you do it. Tire them out.
Y'all run right at them. You tire them out. You beat them up. You bang them around.
Well, have them backpedaling. That's the thing. Yeah. You don't want them teeing off. You want them backpedaling.
You know what? And by the way, I was was looking at the Arizona game in depth, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I love that they do? They pull the center and the guard 3 out of 5 running plays. It is so refreshing to see.
Well, the Giants have been doing a lot of that too. Problem is they're not getting out there fast enough.
Correct. I mean, I just, one, Jalapeno,
yeah.
He's not athletic. You got to put Pulley in there, and Pulley and Hernandez.
That's
and
a good name for him, Pulley. You can pull him.
Because they can't. You need the athletic guys out there, but watching Arizona do it, I think if you can pull the center and the guard and get Barkley going, and you run right at.
Well, they had a center that pulls pretty well, in Weston Richburg. He's doing a great job in San Francisco, right?
Yeah, it just took him 4 years to get help.
Well, he's hurt. Yeah, so now I think he's healthy, and he's snapping the ball to Jimmy Garoppolo. They haven't lost yet.
I know. Well, I think the Giants got a chance. I don't want to give you a score, but I think the Giants have a chance. I think it's a 70-30 chance of winning. Excuse me, 30-70 chance of winning.
Right.
But everything's going to have to go right. You're going to have to beat the 2 linebackers. Maybe there's that Jones-Slayton connection, which is starting to kind of bud a little bit.
That's been a very pleasant surprise.
Yeah, so there is some opportunity. Hope the Giants step up. Hey, look,
But who's going to cover Amari Cooper?
Nobody.
Who's going to cover Gallup? Cobb?
Nobody.
And nobody ever covers Blake Jarwin.
Yeah, well, that's because no one covers like any tight end.
Blake Jarwin, he doesn't. Does he play against other teams? Because I don't see anything happening with him. Just only when he plays the Giants.
Well, so I'm thinking that everything definitely has to go right. You're gonna need some turnovers to win, and you know what? Like people have been hard on me about the trade. If he can find the fountain of youth,
why are they hard on you about the trade?
Because I don't like the fact that like we could have went after this guy in the offseason.
I agree.
And by trading for him now, I guess what I want to be wrong about is he's basically done nothing all season. And can he flip the switch and be great in 3 days? Like, because that's what you're kind of hoping he does, and it doesn't seem overly realistic because we could have went hot and heavy after him when the season ended in free agency. But we traded for him now, but we're a 2-6 team. Mm-hmm. So are we really just kind of giving him a trial run? Are we dating him for 8 weeks to see if we want to have a longer relationship? I'm not really sure what the methodology behind it is because his season right now is like the guy doesn't care about football almost. And I'm not saying he doesn't because, listen, I'm sure he's a good guy. He's a great athlete. His numbers are so off that I'm hoping it was just a Jets thing. You know what I mean? That he was just
No, I hope you're right.
Turned off by the Jets, and now he's going to turn it on.
I hope you're
right. You know
right.
what I mean? Like, that's all I can hope for because otherwise – trading 2 guys for this guy just seems like a head scratcher. So
yeah.
I'm hoping this guy really just says, you know what, I'm ready to play, and he comes up and blows it up. Then we can all eat crow and clank glasses that it was a great move.
Well, it's just another curious move of them burning assets they really shouldn't burn. You know what I'm saying? Look what they did in the draft. They traded up for DeAndre Baker. Did they need to do that? They traded up 7 spots, and they traded 3 draft picks.
Well, here's the thing. Technically, no, they didn't have to, but you're glad that they did now because Sam Beal has never been on the field and may never be on the field. So
yeah, but they could have kept those draft picks, and Baker could have been there at number 37. It would have taken him then. Yeah,
you hope so. Yeah, I'm kind of over all that one by now because to me, like,
it bothers me every day. Because they just burn these draft picks they didn't need to burn, and I think they just did it again with this kid Williams.
Well, we're gonna see, aren't we?
And it actually the third round, if they tank the rest of the year, which they're not purposely tanking, that third round pick is going to be the 70th pick.
Yep.
I mean, that's a high pick in the NFL draft, and then the next year that'll be another 4th round pick. Now I know they're counting on that 3rd round compensatory pick for Landon Collins.
Yes,
but that pick isn't going to be until in the 90s. Okay, that's the end of the 3rd round. That's 90 some odd, getting close to the 100th pick. So you just lost 30 spots.
Well, on that note, we'll see on Monday, right?
Yeah.
That's all I got. I mean, hoping Monday is entertaining and that they can come out and play ball.
Yeah.
You guys can find me at NY Giants Rush on Twitter and, of course, nygiantsrush.com.
Mm-hmm.
Pilgrim's Point by Jeff Pilgrim. We got the Coach's Corner by Michael Stewart, and we got Java with Jones with Mike B, and Spiro's always doing the film room. So get out there and check out the content and share it. And I'm hoping Tuesday morning is something good to talk about.
Yeah. And I'm still at Giants Wire, And the Giant Insider, we're still going strong with that. The only magazine dedicated to New York Giants football. You probably see it in your supermarkets and your newsstands. Hopefully we can get a website going with that Giant Insider, because there's a lot of great content in there. Jerry Foley, myself, there's a few other guys. Oh, Chris Besignano is the beat writer. He does a terrific job, Chris. And just pick one up if you can. You can order it online. You can get a digital version of it. There's no website, but you can get it a digital version. It comes down as a PDF. And also, I will be contributing to Empire Sports Media, doing various sports. I will be doing some Giant stuff there. I'll be doing some basic NFL. I'll be doing Mets, Yankees, some basketball, college basketball, St. John's maybe. So we'll see. Click onto that. There's some good content on there. And until next time, thanks for listening. This has been the Giants Guys.